recording now. Thank you for joining Ed the Trucker. Everyone knows you in New Jersey. You made national headway about in 2021. Got rid of Steve Sweeney, that Democrat boss down in South Jersey. Thanks for coming on the NJ First podcast.
Thank you for having me, Ryan.
And I wanted to have you on because there's a lot of questions on Twitter. I followed you throughout the years that you were involved in the New Jersey politics. And for people that don't know, he proposed bills like the heartbeat bill, the concealed carry bill, and also a repeal of the extreme risk protection order. So he really dives into conservative causes, but we want to learn a lot more about him, everything about him. So again, I got me questions right here, and let's just hear your campaign. How's it going for governor? You got one more year.
Well, to be quite honest, I've tried to stay, a little off the radar right at this moment because we have an important election going on right now for the presidential, and we have congressional races, and we have local races with commissioners and council and what have you. And I don't want to muddy the water and have people too confused. So I've tried to kind of just, go where people have asked me to come, and not really interfere with other elections. We can worry about 25 on November 6th. Right now, it's all about get Trump elected, save the country, and see if we can steal some seats here in New Jersey.
I like how Thomas Massey Jr., I always quote him as my favorite congressman. He says, vote for the person in the primary and vote for the party in the general. You're right, all the way up till November 6th, and probably, I guess, after they get done counting. And then you can worry about 2025. But how about let's just talk about that then real quick before I get into my questions. The election with Donald Trump against Harris. I'm in Pennsylvania right now working, knocking doors again, just like I was in 2020. I thought he was going to win in 2020. He lost, but there's a change of wave maybe in 2024. Scott Pressler in Pennsylvania doing remarkable work. It was with Cliff Mahoney. You want to give your words on that?
Well, Scott is amazing, and he and I have spoken many times, and I actually trying to convince him to come to Jersey and help us change things here in 25, because I think he could make a difference in quite a few different areas in flipping some seats back, especially like in the assembly races, maybe back here in LD3 and LD4 area, because we were just, scathed off of taking those seats, and maybe he can help us change that flow. But I was watching the whole interview with Bret Baier and Kamala this morning, and it just amazes me that the Democrats could spin that was anything but a train wreck for her. I mean, I'm not sure if you've seen it, but she was. Somebody mentioned she didn't cackle one time because she was nervous the whole time, and she was on her defense all the way.
I even saw like the CNBC, the stock market channels, trying to cover for her. No, it was pretty bad. It was very bad. She basically, remember that one line that she said but Donald Trump has been running for the last 4 years.
The line that I think is most important is the line when they were talking about the transgender policies, and she said that an administration has to take accountability for their deeds. That's right, Kamala. Your administration for 3.5 years has to take accountability for what you have done. And when Brett tried to call her on the open border policy and the people who have died because of it, she had no answer for it. And she gives a half-hearted, I sincerely feel bad for the people who lost their life. No, I don't believe you. I don't believe you. So,
yeah. And you and I were speaking before we recorded about Donald Trump in Pennsylvania. He was working longer at McDonald's than Kamala Harris supposedly said he did.
I really would like to know. I would really like to know how long he stayed, because they were talking on 1210 about that. What's the over under? Is it And I think one person said 38 minutes.
Geez. There's good content out there. Donald Trump's got the high energy going on all these podcasts. Kamala Harris is trying to catch up, and we can come back to the presidential election and talk about that. I just got done watching some of the debates from New Jersey Globe, Curtis Bashaw versus Andy Kim. I saw Tom Kean Jr. versus Sue Haltman, and Billy Prempa versus Nellie Pooh. Now, Billy did remarkable as always, but the other two, the very shocking answers, and the rational person in me, I just went down to DC, got educated by the best of the conservatives that they have. And it's because New Jersey, they say, will not vote for those conservatives. But did you see those debates? They're pretty lefty.
I've seen parts of the debate, and I will just say this. I disagree. I think that New Jersey will vote for conservative because, to be quite honest, I steal a line from Senator Testa. He says you can't beat vanilla with vanilla salt, off-white vanilla.
Mm-hmm.
You have to use chocolate. So you have to be different. You cannot beat a Democrat if you're just Democrat-like. You have to be different.
And regardless of the attempt with Curtis Bashaw being Testa's guy, Testa has accomplished South Jersey. He flipped it red. He's got that proven in his back pocket. You got to give him that there. But I agree with you, because I don't agree with the naysayers saying, you're too far conservative. People will not vote for that in New Jersey. If you take the Scott Pressler approach, it's about converting voters. It's about getting people out to vote. It's about registering them, or voting early, voting by mail. I know it's all controversial, but it's a game. It's a competitive game. It's not about ideologies. So you could do it in a theory if people just try enough. So yeah, I don't think that there's anything wrong with that.
Well, think about this. What is so extreme about us? We want to protect our children. Obviously, we don't believe that sex education should be, taught to minors. We don't believe that men should be competing with women, shouldn't be going into their locker rooms. We don't believe that the government should take all our money. We want to have most of our money for ourselves. I think we can control our finances best. What is so extreme about that? I think most people do tend to agree with it. They just they hear the rhetoric from the left saying that we're extreme, that we're this, but we're not. And that's the thing. We have to get out there and convince the people we're not extreme. We're actually pretty, normal. I think anybody wants this. And that's what we just got to work harder to convince people. We have to fight off that nasty rhetoric that the Democrats put out there.
And I think the NJGOP takes it from the national GOP that their hashtag was lead right for the last couple of decades. But now Bill Spadia has the common sense, and everybody else before him, that he's not the one who owns that. A lot of people for the last couple of years that I've been in it saying they just need common sense. There's a Twitter.
They've been running it on Fox forever.
The Twitter account Wake Up New Jersey is someone who is like independent and is really about the common sense. That's how you would get people who might be Democrat to vote Republican. It's about the common sense, not about the far right or conservative so much. It's about both, But that could lead me into my first question for your gubernatorial run, just the New Jersey politics of it. I host, and I'll say one last thing before I go into this, is that I heard you say when you were on the radio station that you normally do, is that the job of a politician is to negotiate, to be bipartisan, amicable, to be to make progress in a sense, and I thought that was very good. I thought that was nice.
Yeah. I mean, when you're in the political world, this is all about compromise. Politics is about compromise. You can't have it all your way, and I can't have it all my way. We find something that meets in the middle.
Gotcha.
I think that's the way that you're going to come to a common ground, a common sense approach about things.
Right. And I think it's just good for us to say that out loud, because there's so many media outlets that try and pose us as hate and right wing, just like there was that hit article that just went out. But I did a poll on my Twitter. There was 1,170 votes maybe. And you did pretty well. I had it up against Jack Chitterelli, Ed the Trucker, yourself, Bill Spadia, and John Bramnick, ironically. But you got definitely near a quarter of that vote, meaning you're definitely in competition for there. And my question would be, would you be open to debates?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, great.
Absolutely.
Great. Because I know there is different strategies with that, and you were successful with it before as well. But I want to be maybe hosting debates for the 2025 gubernatorial election. That's great. Let's get rid of that question. We'll go on. And I would like to talk to you about the Republicans Party supposed to be reclaiming this brand of the working class. It's funny because I'm young, so that's what it always came across to me. It never was the party of elites. It was always the Democrats that were in Hollywood. It was always the Democrats that were the capitalist Apple, Silicon Valley. I guess a different time was when the Republicans in the 80s were them, whatever. But you're in trucking. You still do trucking and work. And I as well work in labor. I load the trucks. I'm in the warehouse doing the forklifts. I would love to hear about how you feel about that rebranding of the Republican Party, looking at the working man, the average American, if you would like to.
Well, I not so much as rebranding as I just think that it has proven a point that we have become, the big tent party, as Charlie Kirk had kind of pointed that out a while ago when I was watching one of his episodes, that we are very diverse and we have all types of backgrounds in our party. I mean, you look at the legislature alone, it's a multitude from electricians. I was in there as a truck driver. You had an EMT, you have real estate, you have your lawyers, you had your doctors, and then you had your business people, you had your executives, you had all different types that were in there. You had your school teacher, it's all different types of people who were representing the party, and that's what you're getting now who are running for office. You see it more. It's not just pigeon-toed to just a doctor or a lawyer. You're seeing more people. I mean, look at Christian Barranca, Mike Teresi. These guys are in the assembly, and they're not a doctor or a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
It's opening
there is a lot of lawyers. There are a lot of lawyers.
Yes, there is. I was in the Senate, and probably more than half of my caucus was lawyers.
And it's uni-party. It's bipartisan. But that's for another conversation. But that's really what I want to talk about maybe a little bit more, because I'm all about America first. I even go into the legal migration. I've applied to so many jobs. I work landscaping as well, but the jobs go to different people, not Americans. I'll say that out loud. That's what I think. I have experience with it. But the America first, taking care of Americans. And do you think that New Jersey, should we pose it as a common sense, or is Donald Trump's America first, for New Jersey?
Well, here's the bottom line: it's in the Constitution. Illegal aliens are not supposed to be here. They are a criminal as soon as they cross the border illegally. They are criminals. I'm tired of hearing the left saying they're not criminals. Yes, they are. The minute they cross the border illegally, they become a criminal. Then they double down. If they drive a vehicle, they are a criminal. Even though Governor Murphy wants to give them a driver's license, I think that was wrong, because we knew the pathway of what that leads to. If they work, businesses are supposed to be penalized for hiring illegal aliens, but they're not. That has to change. You have to punish companies who are hiring these illegal aliens. You have to take the incentive away from the illegal alien to be here. I will tell you this. I become governor, sanctuary state ends, and there will be no incentives. We as a state can't deport them, but we're not going to give them safe haven. We will make it cooperate with ICE to remove the illegal aliens.
And reminder to viewers, Sussex County is the only county that does cooperate with ICE to remove them. Not that there's many up here by Sussex, but just to make a point that they uphold the Constitution is imperative. I think more counties should do that. Their sheriffs too. But let's talk about the illegal immigration more, because I was talking about some other nonsense. Let's talk about the illegal immigration. I guess it's more violence that's coming across, like the gangs. Donald Trump was right that they're sending, maybe not just sending, but they're letting out their prisons. It's a strategy. Other people say it's not happening, but there's the gang. I don't even know how to pronounce it. The Venezuelan gangs.
Well, it's not just the gangs. Homeland Security has said itself. What is it? Some 13,000 known on the terrorist watch list are
Terrorism.
here. There's a
Right.
terrorist watch list, and they're in our country. They came
Mm-hmm.
across the border illegally. Homeland knows this.
Mm-hmm.
It boggles my mind. How can this be acceptable?
Did, did you Did you see that Bill Clinton actually commented on that? And I
Yes.
think Laken Riley's death, the murderer, said it would have been fixed if he was never allowed across in the first place. And
if he was vetted, and we've been saying that is, and I said this is the best commercial that Donald Trump could have. Bill Clinton himself has said if the criminal who came across the border was vetted, Lincoln Riley would have never been murdered. And you can argue and say, well, there's more criminals in the United States that are natural born citizens. Okay, we got that. Well, I'm not going to argue that point. But does that mean we should make our country more available to foreigners to be here illegally? Added to our problems?
Right. And I saw in the Kurdish Bashaw and Andy Kim debate, they gave you a gotcha question to Kurdish Bashaw about the Haitian migrants. Donald Trump made this provocative statements about Haitian migrants. I just got done watching a YouTube video of a guy over in Dominican Republic. They deport Haitians all day long, legal, non-legal, no matter what. And it's like America's not allowed to take control of its security for anything, and they just get called out of it. But about deportations, I think there was a statistic that said like near 50% of Americans are in favor of it. Yeah, there's how many illegals in the last 4 years? 10 million? Is that the number that we're at?
I think it's probably higher, but they're going with a soft estimate of at least 10 million. So it's not just the criminal aspect. You're talking about the burden on our infrastructure, on our society, on medical, on schooling, everything, and it drains. I mean, we have veterans homeless without being treated, but we're giving hotels and free credit cards up to what $3,000-4,000 per month to illegals. There's something wrong with that. Extremely wrong with that.
And I remind people many people, of course, sympathetic to immigrants, no matter what, that I've seen on this path of the Darien across the border, that there's dead bodies, people get raped. It's not a pretty picture that these people are coming to America and then being lied to. It's expensive here, inflation, you have to work for it. So we want to look at the whole picture and find a solution. And you're talking on all right points. I just want to say that.
Well, here's the one thing I want to add to this. Everybody says, oh, well, that's national. That's Kamala. That doesn't affect. No, I have not heard anyone in the Senate or the Assembly or local mayors or local council on the Democrat side condemn any of this. They are all in line supporting their party and the actions that they take. So if it's okay by them, then that if they would voice and there would be a pushback, then things might change. But there is no pushback from not one person on the left to what's going on. And that just, so you can't run away from the policies. These are yours too. It doesn't matter what, they say, oh, well, that's national politics. No, you own it too, because you have not condemned it. And I've challenged them to condemn it. On Twitter, I've challenged many of the ones that are running right now on the left. I don't hear word one out of any of them.
I have to clip up Billy Prempa's debate with Nelly Poo, however you pronounce that, because Bill Pascrell Jr. passed away. But Billy threw back a question at her. If you are in favor of all these illegal immigrants coming over, why don't you allow them in your house? Let them in. And she stupidly was like, yes, of course I would let anybody in. And they just aren't in reality. If reality came and hit them in the face, they would run that day to a different city. They would seek refuge. It's about a maturity thing, maybe. I don't know.
Well, you've seen what Mayor Adams did when the illegals started showing up there. He pushed back, and now he's in the court.
I was just about to say that. Yeah, he supposedly was getting favors for the Turkish airlines and the Turkish government, and he was doing it this whole time. And all of a sudden, they indicted him because he started pushing back against illegals. You're right. It was as bright as day, and I was like, I can't believe it. It's like a playbook. You're just seeing it all happen. And yeah, that's good that we talked about that. Let's see what else for New Jersey politics. I have just one last question. Did you want to go longer or make this short so more people see
No. It's up to you. Whatever you want. Any questions you had?
I saw. Well, this one is in addressing for your gubernatorial election. There's questions. Again, people watching this want answers. They look into stuff. They think they find stuff. But there was a really, really nasty video, if you ask me, a really nasty video made about you by Phil Rizzo. And I've tried to.
Oh, I haven't seen the video.
Oh, yeah. Oh, very, very nasty.
I know he made comments about me.
He claims that 70% of your reporting comes from insiders of the NJGOP for your ELEC reporting. You're funded by, his words, says you're put up by Jack Ciattarelli to run, to split the vote. And we can just talk right now about here. However you want to address that. Is the NJGOP, I mean, you've made friends with them. Like you said, you had to. That's the whole point of politics, is to make friends with people who you might not agree with if they're on your team. And at the same time, there's the same questions about Bill Spadia, the money that he promised to 2023 candidates never came. I heard this. I hear this. But
well, no, that's factual. Bill promised a lot and was never received. You know, that report came out. I read that one.
Yeah, which is unfortunate. He went on a bunch of the America One News or OAN, whatever. But how about that questioning of your ELEC reporting, all of them coming from NJGOP insiders? Is that overzealous, or is that who you're getting money from? Let's put it that way.
Put it this way. I don't know who exactly gave me money. When I would call up, I would call people who was on a list that I had, and I would call. I'm not worrying about. I did it on my own. I earned, I made the calls all last year.
I guess the criticism is that you're going to be beholden to them. Like, you're not. Are you being put up by Jack Ciattarelli to run for governor in 2025? So what is the volume?
I don't understand what his premise is on who I got the money from. I'm going to take money from whoever offers it. I'm not going to offer any special favor.
Yeah, many people.
I'm not going to refuse anybody to donate money to my campaign, but I'm here to represent the people. And as you said, you see with my policies and the bills that I present, and I have no problem with standing for conservative values. And as far as I know that Phil tried to say that I was beholden to Tony. Tony tried to get me to vote his way a couple times, and I said no flat out. So if I was beholden, I would have voted his way, but I didn't. And you can ask Tony that. He'll say that I stood my ground and wouldn't give in on the votes.
Nice. I appreciate you definitely bringing that up. If other candidates or other people would like to come on and clear things up as well, I would love to hear that. And more for that is Phil is definitely on Bill Spadia's team. They've formed with Rosemary Becky with the Jersey First. This is the NJ First podcast, if anybody knows, if anybody cares. But he's definitely formed this clique, and they're successful. They raise money. I'll give it to them. I wish that they did more. I credit Bill Spadia for being probably just as active as Jack Ciattarelli, one of the most, if not the most active people in New Jersey politics, because he can. That's what he's doing right now. But why can't the two forces come together? Why is there this tension, this rift? I thought everyone was on the same team. I worked with everybody. We were all doing this in 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021. I don't understand why on Twitter and all these people are splitting. I think we should come together. Even if you're running for governor, I wouldn't care if it was Lieutenant Governor Bill Spadia and Ed Durr, or if it was Lieutenant Governor Ed Durr, the trucker, and Bill Spadia. I don't understand why there's this rift. That's all I want to say.
Look, I don't have a problem with the primary. I mean, it's an open seat, so I don't have, because people say, well, you had a big problem with being challenged in a primary last year. Well, I was holding the seat. I don't believe that we should hurt our own party. If the candidate is okay in holding the seat and doing an all right job, you don't primary just to primary just so you can move up.
Mm-hmm.
You wait your turn. But this is an open seat, so the primary I have no issues with, and whoever wants to enter, feel free to enter. I don't hold no grudges. I hear people saying I'm out here just to split the vote, that I should get out of the race, and because I can't raise money. Well, I can't raise money if people don't give me money. You know, these same people who say I can't
do give you money.
Yeah, the people who say that I can't raise money, well, then send me some money and I'm raising money. You know, and I also don't think that we should select a governor based on how much money he has in his bank account. Right. I think it should be based on what he's going to do for the state and for the people. And I know for a fact that I will hold true to what needs to be done. You know, I've heard other ones say things and then say a different thing when they're in a different county, and they'll just say talking points. But I actually have proof in the pudding, as it said. I stood by what I said I would do when I got to the Senate, and I did exactly what I said I would do. And I held true to my values, and I always will.
And that's why a bunch of people I see on Twitter want to volunteer for you. A lot of people say he doesn't have the money to all this. He's got a lot of people talking coming up and volunteer. There's this one woman on your team who's very active on social media. I always see her upload your events and stuff like that you're going to. And you,
well, I'm going to be up at Bergen County next week. I'll probably go to Pinelands too.
Yeah, I think tomorrow there's this real big event at the Skyland Stadium. There's this huge Trump event tomorrow. I'll send you the details of that. But that's all the tough questions I had. I really appreciate you talking about them. So it puts them to bed. Basically, people can come here and watch it and listen to your words. That's exactly what we want with free speech. Can't thank you enough for doing that. But we can end on talking about the Democrat side for governor. I know you had a cordial talk with that Jersey City mayor. What's his name?
Yeah, Steve Fuller. Yeah,
governor. My
here's the funny thing. Here's the funny thing, right? So when I right after getting elected, I did a podcast with Morris County surrogate Heather Darling. She had a show, and so we ended up doing a show together. We had like 6 or 8 shows. I'm trying to remember exactly. And one of the guests was Steve Fuller. We had him on there, and it was a nice interview. After, and I joked around with him saying, because he's not a big fan of Norcross and Sweeney and Bertucelli and all that. So I reached out to him when I found out it was going to be Bertucelli and said, hey, it wouldn't hurt to getting an endorsement from you. he wouldn't do it. So after he announced he was running, and he made this tweet about something. I forget exactly what it was. I went and called him out on it, and he said, didn't you ask me for an endorsement? I says, yeah. And you said no, so I'm not beholden to you.
Right.
So, if you're not going to endorse me, I'm not going to hold back.
So I remember going to my dentist. He said he liked them. Supposedly he did a okay job over in Jersey City. Not sure, but
not what I hear.
Yeah, right. I don't know any city current modern that's doing well urbanly, but he made a endorsement of Tammy Murphy early and made that mistake and rescinded it and turned to Andy Kim. So he was one of the shameful Democrats that just tows the establishment. But I did see that the person who I've been saying is probably going to run. It was reported by NJ Globe, Mikey Sherrill, who is definitely going to win a re-election for Congresswoman. Will just keep riding that wave up to governor in 2025.
People should take notice to that. Instead of her stepping aside and letting somebody else run for that congressional seat, knowing she's going to enter the race for governor, she's going to run for the congressional seat and then take her time all next year when she should be doing the congressional work, worrying about running for governor.
Mm-hmm.
You know, is
Mm-hmm.
you know, you have to be kind of like say you kind of got to tip your hat to Tom King. He went and resigned from the Senate to run for Congress.
Right.
I mean, you kind of got to give respect to that. He could have sat in the Senate and did nothing. I mean, there's no requirement. There was no mandatory you had to show up every day. There's many senators who don't show up at all. Don't show up to vote. Don't show up for committees.
Right.
Don't show up at all. And they collect a check. And then they gave themselves another raise, a 33% raise that I voted against.
Yeah, what the heck, Testa? Come on. Testa and what's that one guy's name? That other Republican. It was only two. Only two Republicans.
Palestine.
Now there's even another, but they tried to make a rationale out of it. But anyway, yeah, the Democrats are definitely preparing hard for 2025. Republicans, as much as everybody's seeing the data, even in Bergen County, probably some other counties, but definitely Bergen in New Jersey, are flipping more registered voters to become Republican than Democrat. So they're increasing on that the gain that Democrats have, making it more contentious, maybe more of a purple New Jersey. Over in Pennsylvania, it's purple Pennsylvania as well. But for the Republican primary, Doug Mastriano, a really right-wing conservative guy, won overwhelmingly in the primary. That's what Republican voters won. So in New Jersey, the primary, if you ask me, is going to be who's most conservative. And maybe they might not win against a Mikey Sherrill, someone who has all this money. But if you ask me, that's where people are going to be voting. And is there going to be a split? But how do you think about that?
Well, put it this way. First off, if we could turn up our numbers on the Republican side, we could win every time out. Our people don't come out and vote. It's very sad. The numbers don't come out. But think about this. You know, I had mentioned it on the radio show that they are saying in the nation, there's over 45 million conservative Christian, born again Christians who don't vote. There's some 30% of Second Amendment gun owners who don't vote. Now, New Jersey has somewhere between 1.6, 1.8 million gun owners. You know how many votes Governor Murphy got in each of his elections? Like 1.3, 1.4.
Right.
We have more gun owners than he got in votes. Show up and vote, guys. You don't have to fight. You don't have to fight the legislature. You don't have to go to court. You don't have to do nothing. You got a governor who actually believes in the Second Amendment, like me, who actually believes you have a right to carry your firearm anywhere at any time to protect yourself. You didn't break the law. You have no reason not to have that right to carry. That's my firm belief.
And what I will end on is saying that the reason maybe this is the way it is in New Jersey is because I went to school for political science. So the jobs that are offered to me, Florida, Texas, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, not New Jersey. They do not hire me in New Jersey. They don't want me in New Jersey. Something's wrong with the water. That has to change if New Jersey wants to win. And I think that it will. I think that it will after 2024 when people look at it again in 2025. They say, oh, we were so close in 2021. I think it'll change. But
we weren't that close. We weren't. If you go back and look at gubernatorial races, there were a lot closer ones than that.
Oh, okay. So it really is purple Jersey.
There was a lot closer races than what we had in 21. It was not that close.
Gotcha.
But I think we can. I do think we can do it.
And I think this is a great place to end so people can watch this 30 minutes long. I want to thank you so much, Ed the Trucker, for joining us. He's running for governor in 2025 for New Jersey next year. And anything you want to say, where can people reach you? You have a new book, I hear, or donating?
Yes. If they go to edthetrucker.com, you go right on my website. The book is all about my story running, and we're offering an autographed copy for a donation of $58 or more. You know, if you want to give more, great. But give $58, it covers the cost of the book, the shipping and handling. You get to read my story, you get to learn a little bit about me and hear more, how the sausage was made, so to speak, in Trenton.
Excellent. The First Amendment free speech is what we're all about here on NJ First Podcast. Again, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you, and see you later, guys.
All right. Take care.